Good morning. Apologies for the late bulletin. I overslept today. I was very tired on the weekend. We'll start with the QDB scores, and we can see we can have some opportunities potentially. I'll be a little bit worried about the pound Aussie because it looks like we're risk on. All right, so we're quite strongly risk on because we're measured out of 100 and we're 89 out of 100, and that's taken into account various indices, VIX, Dixie, and US yields, which I can show you on the dashboard. Scroll up, and it's measuring all these risk instruments, and I've weighted it, and we've got a decent score. So we've got 89 out of 100. So technically risk on, sentimentally we're risk on. You can see there's 8 people trying to short the indices versus the 1 person buying. So there's quite crowded trade there, lots of bears, and they're going against the flow of the technicals as well. So lots of green. So it doesn't make too much sense why you'd want to be buying pound Aussie, because that's like a risk off thing that you do. But EJ, NJ, GJ, UJ are contenders there because they're going to perform well on a risk on mood, and it's all about the risk on, risk off, greed or fear. The retail guys are very fearful, and the big fish are greedy, right? So they're making lots of money. Unfortunately, these guys are undergoing quite a lot of loss. And I'll show you on the, I can show you on the FXCM. Bring this across, right, and look at the US 30. Right, it sold. Well, actually, you can say we sold actually here. We went sideways, so that was quite horrible. See the curvature of the MA, and then they sold it again. Admittedly, they went long, so price fell. They sold it, and that's the last time they'd sold it, and what a pump, right? Unfortunately, these retail guys are very counter trend, and they're going to probably hold on to losses. And the thing, as I was saying in Discord, when it does fall, they'll be quick to sell, because this down channel would have burnt them, and they probably, well, they went long, all right, and then they got screwed, and then it went sideways. It was pretty horrible to trade, very, very choppy, and then of course we could see we bottomed, and then they started to sell it as it was coming up. It's just one of those things. We have to pay attention to the retail guys because they're so counter trend. When they go one way, it's quite telling. And Twitter was quite bearish as well. Broken the down channel. Can you see that channel? Quite clear. And we broke to the upside. They sold it once. Chop, bit, sold it again. They sold it again in quick succession. This is what I was saying about quickly selling it. If it does drop, like there, they're like, right, okay, we're going to fall. We're going to get this move. And of course it goes up to punish them. You can see why they sold it, because that's quite a scary 2 hours. But then all you could do is look at that wick. Huge wick underneath. That was buying pressure. Why was there buying pressure? Because they'd sold it. And there has to be someone to counter that trade. Okay? So it's quite an easy thing to understand. It's just once you get your head around it, you realise how cruel the market actually is. I watch it every single day, and I still find it fascinating. And it's the mass media comes into play as well, because if things are going sideways, they'll pump out a scary news event. And this is the Russian civil war down here, wasn't it? And that looked like a legit risk event. And you wouldn't really want to be buying DAX, would you? With a civil war on your border. Not necessarily border, it's near, isn't it? Geographically, it's very close. There's the harmonic support. So this was a key level. So technically, if you cut out all that fundamental news, or so I say noise, there's going to be a buy above that level. See, multiple respects, and that's obviously a decent level there. Multiple respects, and then you could look for a long above there, and that would have been a fantastic trade. that's a really good result there, isn't it? And you know where your stops would have been quite tight, and knowing that level would have been important. Then gold, and quickly show the robot. The robot's calmed down. It was going into a bit of a frenzy last Monday, and it seems to have whatever we've done to the code, it seems to have fixed it, because it was going open in so many trades, and now it will only open if the failure rate is high. So that's the little change that we made. They'd sold. They went long, so price has fallen. So we can draw a map box. I'll just show you the robot, and then I'll finish the video. Doesn't need to be a long one. So keep an eye on 1920. Should be a resistance because they've gone long. Yeah, it's a bit debatable whether or not it's that candle or this one, but that should be a resistance because they've gone long, haven't they? Yeah, that kind of coincides. So yeah, potentially you could look for a long above 1920, but that should hold. I'll show you the robot quickly. Get off that cursor. Yeah. So it hasn't really done many trades, which is fine. And the reason for these trades is because they've moved sentimentally shifted, and they've got the robot itself is looking for retracements. And so I'll have to see how we go. And it's quite nice. It's not open load of trade, so it's quite good for our margin. It's actually very, very healthy margin. So we'll just have to see. No more changes to the code. It's just the only thing that we put in last week was we had a check for the failure rate. So if the herd were getting paid, we wouldn't open any trades on our robot. But if they're getting punished, which is they are, then it'll open a trade. So 50% is our go or no go metric for the robot. And yeah, that's it. So fingers crossed it'll just keep churning away and it'll keep punishing these guys. So the logic for QB CAD is there, and what it's doing is trying to buy the retracement because it's up here, right? And it's here by dips. So that's what it's trying to do. But we'll have to see, the profit and loss over the course of time. So I wish you a good day, and I'll speak to you guys soon. And don't forget, we've got July 4th tomorrow, so it's going to be very quiet, and the markets are closed as well after a certain time. I think 6 p.m. tonight, you won't be able to trade indices and gold.